Alright guys, welcome to the CSS section. In the HTML section we treated the text formatting, the list and tables, we did form and a lot of other cool stuff like that. So in this section we will be beginning with the CSS section. But before we begin, I would love to show some few details about CSS. So on this website over here, we have the CSS documentation. So for the introduction, we have what is CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS describe how HTML elements are to be displayed on the screen, paper, or in other media. CSS saves a lot of work. Definitely, it saves works a lot, and it can control the layout of multiple web pages at once. Right, so external CSS or external style sheet are stored in CSS files. That is, all external CSS are stored in CSS files. Alright, yeah, so let's just check out the syntax, the CSS syntax, which is very important. First of all, for the syntax, we need the selector. The selector is the property, be it the element name or the ID or tag or ID or class name, are basically the selector of any element. So then first of all, then after that we need the property and value. But before that, we need to have our declaration start, which is the coily angle bracket. That is the coily angle bracket for opening coily bracket. Then we need the property. For this we have property of color. Then we have the property and value separator, which is the semicolon, or which is the colon rather. Then we have the property, which is blue. So we are going to terminate this color property with a semicolon. Then we can also add another property as well. So we have font size, or another property of font size, giving it a value of 12 pixels. So that's just the basic syntax of CSS. CSS is very simple. It's easy to learn. Alright guys, so let's go to our text editor and start writing some CSS codes. Right, so I'm going to be opening a new file. Then I'll be naming this CSS intro.html. It's going to be an HTML file, definitely, because we'll be styling HTML, so it's going to be an HTML. So definitely we'll still bring our shift 1, our document type, using shift 1, the exclamation. Then we'll change the document title, that is the title. We'll change it from document to introduction to CSS. Right, so let's have some saying introduction, some h1 saying introduction to CSS. Right, then let's go over to the next line. Have some paragraph of, okay, let's have this is how CSS is being implemented. Then let's have some lorem of lorem 20. It's good. All right, so let me just collapse this and then right click, and I'll be opening it with my live server. So the result has been displayed over here. So what we have to do now is to style these properties. So let's come to our text editor. We have three ways in which we can declare CSS. We have the internal CSS, we have the inline CSS, and we have the external CSS as well. All right, so we'll be starting with the inline CSS at first. So the first one will be inline CSS. Inline CSS are declared in the HTML attribute. So basically what you have to do is to add the style attributes, then add your property and the value. So for this h1, we'll be adding the color colon, let's give it blue, So let's go to our browser and check the output. Now we can see the color has been applied. That's internal CSS, inline CSS rather. All right, so let's have another property saying font family of Calibri. Font family will definitely change the fonts. All right, so we can see. Then we can also have we have a lot of properties and value that we can use, that we can implement. So let's add the font size of 50 pixels, 50 pixels, and you can see it's become very large. So I'll just return it back to the default, or I can just leave it. So let's implement the internal CSS on these two elements, on these two elements, these two paragraphs that we have. So to do the internal CSS, we need to come to the head tag, internal CSS. We need to come to the inside the head tag, probably after the title element. We need to have the style tag as well. That's for the internal CSS. Now we can declare we can implement the syntax using the CSS syntax. So I'll be using the P. I'll be using the P as my selector. Open my curly brackets. Then I'll add my first property, which is color. Then this should be green. Come to the next line. Add the font size of 30 pixels. So let's go to my browser and check out the output. Now we can see the result has been implemented. Internal CSS and external CSS are actually declared the same way. It's just that external CSS are always in external in CSS file. So let's now declare, or let's see how we can implement external CSS. To implement external CSS is very easy and it's simple. So just come over to, I'll be taking you the shortcut way of doing that. So come over to your head tag as well. Have your link tag. The link tag is an self-closing tag. So this href will direct us to the location, will be the location of our external CSS. So I'll be naming it file.css. So file.css is the name of my CSS file. So to open this file has not been created. Just over on your on this file name, then click on, use your control click or just click on follow link. Now it shows this unable to open style. This the editor. Do you want to create the file? Yeah, just click on create file. Automatically it's going to create a CSS file for you. So let me just tack this over here and have my and share and split the screen. So now I will just be commenting out this styling, then I'll take out this CSS styling, this inline styling as well, or I can just even have h2 and say L'Oreal. Okay, let's have CSS implementation. So this, I can now style this element with my external CSS just as the way I styled it with the internal CSS. So I'll be selecting my selector, which is h2, open curly bracket, then I can give it font size of 30 pixels. Check it out. Then font family of area, vertical and sans serif. Then the background should be red. The background is red. Then color should be white as well. All right, so that is just how you can implement external CSS. So it's as simple as that. Let's also tag the, let's style the p tag, the paragraph tag. So let's give it font size of 25 pixels, background of green. Then we can add padding as well, padding of 20 pixels. We can also give it the border radius of 20 pixels. It's going to curve the edges. Then we can also give the color to be white as well. Right, so that is basically how to implement external CSS, and that's how the styling will be applied into your element in your on your browser. So I hope we all understood the concepts behind CSS, both inline CSS, external CSS, and internal CSS. Inline CSS are always declared in the HTML opening tag, that is in the start tag, with the style attributes, then applying the properties and values as well. While for the internal CSS, it has to be inside the style tag, inside the style tag in the head tag, or possibly you can have it after the body tag before the closing tag of the HTML as well. Alright, so that is just the basic concept of CSS. I hope we all understood it.